Herschel Walker, welcome to Personal and Professional Best. I've got a couple questions for you today. First, at what age did you know that you were different?
Well, I think when I first started school at about six and a half, I knew I was different because, at home, my brothers and sisters, it was no big deal. But when I went to school and kids started making fun of me, I'm thinking, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm looking around thinking, what's the matter with me? Because my mom always gave me some positive reinforcement because she told me I was big bone. And I went to school and the kids said, no, you're fat. So I knew I was a little bit different then.
And you told me that you had a little trouble speaking when you were young. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I did. Having a kid that was a little bit overweight, and I had a speech impediment where I used to stutter so much, and I couldn't put a sentence together. And it got worse as kids made fun of me, so I was scared to death. And I used to walk around with my head down because I was afraid of everybody. So almost 4 years of my life, from first grade all the way up to fourth grade, I never went out for a recess. I never spoke in a classroom. I was afraid of everybody, because if you were going to pick on anyone, you pick on me because you can always beat me up because I was not going to fight back. So I knew then I was a little bit different, but when I went home, I was fine because my brothers and sisters, they didn't see any difference. They just thought I was okay, and I never told anyone about it, even though it hurt me so. And so I hated going to school. I literally hated going to school.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that with us, because so much of what we do in life that limits us is allowing others that have hurt us, that pain, to stay with us instead of just realizing God made us special the way that we are. And whatever those impediments are, whatever those objections are, we can work our way through that, which obviously you did. So when I asked that question, most in the audience were probably waiting to hear you tell us, well, it was when I ran that 99-yard touchdown when I was 9 years old, and everybody in the audience knew. So tell me this, at what age did you know that someday we would all know that Herschel Walker was special?
Well, that's a very, very good question, because I don't know whether this is at this age here. I don't know. You guys think I'm special. You may think I'm special, but as I look at myself, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And what I mean by that is, my parents taught me, whatever you do it well. You do your job. I remember when we were playing football in a game, and I carried the ball maybe 40-something time in a game, and a reporter asked me, man, how can you carry the ball that many times? And I said, the ball is not heavy. And everyone thought that was funny. I said, guys, that's what I was supposed to do. I don't care if you gave it to me 50 times. That's my job. And I think being able to have two parents that work hard, they showed me how to work. They said, what you do in life, you do it well. I don't care if you're a trash collector, you be the best trash collector out there. And that's all I knew. So I don't know whether you think I'm special, because the things I do, I'm supposed to do it. I love to win, and I'm supposed to practice. I'm supposed to get ready, and I'm supposed to be prepared. And I think that's what everybody got to do. You get up in the morning, getting yourself ready.
Well, those fine folks in New York thought you were special. They made a big bust of you for the Heisman Trophy. There's a lot of other people. So I am so drawn to your humility about what's happening, but I so understand what you're saying, which is, if you were given a set of God-given gifts, and we've all been given them, our responsibility is just to use those gifts and maximize those gifts, which is really what our program's all about, which is we're just challenging people to emerge to be the very best version of themselves at home and in the workplace. You mentioned mom a few times. Who are the 2 or 3 people that have deposited in your life investments that have made you who you are?
Well, there's no doubt my mom and dad. We're a close family. Church. We're in church every Sunday, Friday night, Wednesdays. We're in church all the time. We were in church all the time, and they taught me, and I learned about Jesus Christ. And so I said, my mom and dad are very, very influential. Yeah, they're very important in my life. Then I had a coach. I had a coach that made me feel good about Herschel. And it wasn't that he coached me, but he mentally trained me to love self. And that's what I try to tell people is you got to love yourself. You know, God has made you great. Don't let anyone else tell you something that God has made you great. I don't care how you look. God loves you. You know, you can be the ugliest person. Well, I hate to say ugly. That's not a good word, but you can be the unattractive person in the world, but God loves you. So, you know, you ask what makes me special. And I said, nothing makes me special but God. You know, I just do what I'm supposed to do. But you got to train. That's one thing people got to do is train. So those people that was very powerful in my life helped to train me to love self. Because, you know, as the kids were putting me down when I was little, my parents were building me up. You know, I go to school, I get put down, my head is down. I go home and I'm smiling because my mom's, oh, you big bone. No, you'll be all right. Don't you worry about it. She didn't know that what the kids were doing. I mean, my dad said, you know, you just got to work, you know, keep working. You know, don't give up. You know, when you get knocked down, you got to get back up. And then, you know, knowing the Lord Jesus that said, you know, you got to love your fellow brother, no matter how mean he are to you, but you love him as you like him to love you. And then I had a coach saying, you know, you just don't give up, Herschel. You just keep working. So, you know, I had people that always was encouraging me that way. And that's why I say, you know, people say I'm being humble. I say, I'm not being humble, but you don't accomplish things alone. And to be honest with you, if you were doing it alone, I hate to tell you, this is a lonely place. Then you don't accomplish nothing alone.
Well, you know what I just heard you say as parents, and I'm a parent of two children, and then as a leader, I'm also leading an organization with 200 of someone else's children, and there's leaders following us today, and there's parents following us today. We should just pour in and love our children and those that we're responsible for in our lives for exactly who they are. And they shouldn't want to try to be anybody else. They should be the best version of themselves. Hey, I got to ask you questions. So you get to the University of Georgia. Did Coach Dooley understand who Herschel Walker as a player was? Or was he as surprised as like the rest of the world when your freshman year unfolded, you wound up winning the Heisman Trophy?
I think he knew I was strange. I don't know whether different. I think he thought I was strange because, you know, a lot of people say Herschel is different because I'm not your average football player. And what I mean by that is, you know, I didn't grow up watching football or playing football. You know, I played football. I worked at football. I trained hard, but I was training hard for almost anything, not just for football, but for whatever came my way. And when I got to the University of Georgia, you know, I didn't go out. I was like, I'm learning my plays. I'm in my classroom. I'm in my seat early. I'm this, that. I was not the average player, I think Coach Dooley may tell you. And he probably thought I was different, but I wasn't different. It's just that that's the way I was taught from my parents. And I say that because my parents taught me discipline, meaning, Herschel, you know, if you're supposed to be somewhere at 10 o'clock and you show up at 9:55, you're late because you're trying to rush to get in there. You should get there a little early. And if you now are trying to prepare yourself, get all your notes out on your desk, you're wrong because you should already have it out. You should already have it ready to go. And I said, that's what you have to do. And he thought that now he's a little different. He's not that. But then at the same time, sometimes other people would see you doing it and they start doing it. And that's what makes a company. That's what makes a team. Because I said, guys, I don't know anything else. And that's what I tell people. I said, sometimes it's sad. I said, it's sad that I didn't go out. To me, sometimes I say it's sad. I didn't go out. I didn't go to bars. I didn't go hang out. I said it's sad because people say you didn't have fun. I said, yeah, but I thought I was having a good time.
Well, I could tell you who had fun, which is every University of Georgia fan that watched the national championship happen in 1988. They had a lot of fun.
And that's exactly right. We did. We had a great time. That team, and you hear me say team, we're still close today. You know, we're that team, the Georgia team that I played on when I was at Georgia, we're all close today. We call each other all the time, see how everybody's doing. And that's what makes it special right there.
Yeah, we'll get back to team in a few minutes. Tell us a story of adversity in your adult life that you experienced, and then tell us how you overcame it.
You know, I never drank before in my life. You know, people don't know. I never even tasted beer. And when people hear that, they're like, what? And I never even tasted beer before in my life. And And, when I got out of football, never had a drug. And, I don't even take medicine, never had a drug. When I got out of football, I was walking away from football. I developed an anger problem. And it's like, why in the world do I have an anger problem? Everything in my life is going well. Why do I need an anger problem? And I was diagnosed as having a mental health problem. And I'm like, mental health? Like, wait a minute. I've seen all those TV shows. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know Herschel Walker not crazy. I'm not a monster. And I went to a behavioral health hospital. People don't know I went to a behavioral health hospital. And we used to call it crazy hospital, but you can't say crazy hospital today. But I went to a behavioral health hospital. And I learned that, and even though I was taught from my parents, but I learned that we all fall short of the glory of God. That people that are struggling with a mental health illness, there's nothing wrong with them. I think we see so many television shows that looks as monsters when you have a mental health problem. That you have thousands and millions of people today that are struggling with that, but they're hiding, they're ashamed of it. And I knew that I had the problem, and I went to working on it. And I went to working on that problem, and normally people would just give up. I'm supposed to be famous. I'm supposed to be somebody big time. And I had a lot of friends that I made at that time that was my friends. When they heard that I had a problem, they left. They thought I had some disease that they didn't want to catch, so they left. Well, I left that hospital with that same kind of drive that I was taught from my parents, that same type of loving the Lord Jesus. And I built some amazing companies. I got into this MMA world, did some amazing things. And then people go, whoa, man, Herschel is incredible, all this stuff. And I said, no, I'm not incredible, but I just continue to work. When you get knocked down, you get up.
Carson in the blue gloves, a little anxious to get things started, and why not? And Walker already getting into the zone, and he strikes and nails Carson immediately. And then he wanted to showcase more of his stand-up stuff.
Mouthpiece went through the cage, out on the deck. His corner man grabbed the mouthpiece.
And Walker jacks his jaw with the left hand. The referee steps in. Herschel Walker improved to 2-0 as a mixed martial artist.
Because I tell everybody, I'm going to tell you a secret that you may not want to know this, but you are going to get knocked down. Hey, you may not think that. I'm going to tell you, you are going to fail. You need to get ready for it, but you got to get up because that's a part of life.
Well, you just hit on a key point. Most people who see other people as really, really, really successful in life, they think somehow or another they were just dealt a better deck of cards. It was easier for them. And both your issues as a child with being big boned, your issues as a child with speech impediment, and then the issues that you just described there. I mean, we're all going to go through challenges, seasons of our lives where things aren't so good. And you just said, I think the magic word, which is you just got to get back up. You got to persevere. You got to work through those things. And I'm so grateful you did. Well, I'm so grateful you did, because you're here with us today as a result of it.
No, thank you. That is a part of life. And that's what I tell people that, everybody, I don't care who you are, going to have challenges in life. And I said, everyone come to a crossroads. And I said, don't stand in the middle of the crossroads, because I guarantee you're going to get run over. Because people are moving. Take a direction. And it is okay to fail. I'm going to tell you, and it's sort of hard. It is okay to fail, because you know what you can do is turn around and correct it.
That's exactly right.
Turn around and correct it, because everything not going to go right in your life. That's the way life is. But that is life. Ups and downs, ups and downs. I tell people this. And people sometimes don't understand when I tell them, guys, you know what's so funny? And I'm not going to be saying I'm a minister, because my family are minister, but I tell everybody, God got your playbook, but Satan got your playbook as well. Satan know your playbook. He know your weaknesses. So he try to fool you sometimes.
Yeah. And I said, try to exploit those weaknesses.
That's
right?
Exactly right. And I said, don't let him fool you. You get up. And that's why I tell people, I said, guys, this will be interesting that people don't realize. I've probably had more failures than I had successes. But I don't think about the failures. I think about the failures as an opportunity to make me better. Because, I go out and if you got one day, I'll tell you this funny story. I went to the Superstars my very first year. This is when I first got to the Cowboys, I think in 1986. I'm not sure why I can remember this. I went in 1986 and I was this incredible athlete. Remember, I can run faster than anyone. I can jump higher, do all these incredible things. The Superstar bring all these athletes from all over the country. And Herschel Walker was picked to go into the finals and all that. So in the prelim, you have 10 athletes on this side, 10 over here, 5 from each side making it to the final. Well, Herschel Walker didn't even make it into the finals. Because one athlete was trying to tell me how I got to do this. And I said, oh, no, I'm in shape. I'm the best guy here, da-da-da. But I didn't listen. Well, I ran out of gas and I couldn't make the finals. And I remember getting on a plane at 12 o'clock at night, leaving that competition. And I flew back to Dallas, Texas. I got back to Dallas about 2:30 in the morning. I told Cindy I'm going to train. I went outside and started training. I know it's kind of stupid. Where the next 3 years of my life, I won the superstars. And I'm not telling people to do stuff like that, but I said, failure sometimes makes you better because you learn from it. And
if we'll own it and take responsibility for it. That's exactly right.
That's exactly right. So failure is not failure. You just got to learn from it and get up.
Now, this is where we're talking about that gut check. When it comes down to the last 200 meters of a race like this is where you just have to want to do it right here. And you see Herschel Walker, the champion that he is, he puts it in overdrive and wins the race. And like I said earlier, Ron Brown, he's a guy that doesn't do any long distance running. He's a sprinter, and as you can see here, that's his forte, sprinting.
So the official order of finish, Walker, Anderson, Nehemiah, and Brown.
So our program's all about, Herschel, about being intentional in life, in our personal life and our professional life, so that we get to the full version, the full and best version of ourselves. Tell us, our audience today, what you're currently working on to get better in life, either personally or professionally. What are you working on to get better?
Well, personally, what I'm working on to be a better dad. I have a 20-year-old son who knows everything. He knows everything. I think everybody knows how that is. He's in college. So I'm working on being a better dad, a better Christian as well, because I've gotten more and more into the Bible with this pandemic going on. I've gotten more into the Bible, learning a lot more. As a businessman, we've pivoted out. I've been in the food business now for about 20-something years. And, I was more into the food service, and we pivoted out into a little bit more retail. So I've studied on myself in retail a little bit more and being my very best. And I would say today, and people may not believe this, I'm probably in better condition today than I've been in a long, long time.
So you're still doing a few push-ups here or there, right?
I am. I'm still doing a few push-ups and sit-ups, and this is the honest truth. When the draft came around in April, I was going to call the NFL and say, wait a minute, I may need to go into the draft because I'm like ready. I'm like, Coach, I am ready to play. And, I have that drive. And this is the honest truth. I have that drive all the time, that I'm always prepared.
Somehow or another, Herschel, I think you're probably one of the few men at this age in life that could put the uniform 34 back on and go out and make a difference on the field. Hey, tell our audience one thing that you should be working on in your life, personally or professionally, that you're not working on.
Oh, you're trying? This one that you're trying to stump me.
Well, listen, no, it's not surprising.
Okay, that is a very good question.
It's not surprising.
One thing I should be working on that I'm not working.
Maybe we should ask Julie.
It's so fun. No. I got something I should be working on that I'm not working on. I think I need to get more into my community, and do a little bit more into my community, and let even though I do a lot, but I can do even more.
Awesome.
Like in my neighborhood, I do a lot. I do a lot with the kids in my neighborhood, and I think I need to get outside that neighborhood and do more with my community, because I try to let the kids in my hometown know that, guys, Herschel Walker is really you, that you're Herschel Walker.
So I'll maybe help you with that here in a few minutes. But before we get to that, let me ask you a couple of other questions. You've been on teams your entire life. You were on the Herschel Walker or the Walker family team, right? You were a son and a brother. You were then on teams at Georgia and New Jersey Generals and the Cowboys and the Vikings. You've been on the Olympic team. You've been on the team, the Renaissance Man, the food services business team. You are the Renaissance Man, which was a perfect name for that company. What advice would you give all of us as teammates at home? What advice would you give us as teammates in the workplace? What advice would you give us as teammates in the community as a nation? What advice would you give us?
The advice I give you is, remember, you got to be true to yourself, first of all, and be true to the team, meaning you're only one part of a unit. And what I mean by that is, if you don't do your part, the unit doesn't move. And you're responsible for, your brother. And you have to remember that. And I think that's what we forget about, is being a part of the team. And that's why I said, guys, Herschel Walker was only part of a University of Georgia team. I just happened to be the running back. So I was only part of a team, and I did my job that I was asked to do. And people gave me these awards that really wasn't, it was not my award, to be honest with you. And I told everyone that the Heisman Trophy is just not mine, it's a whole team. Because I couldn't have made it without my quarterback. I couldn't have made it without my receivers. I couldn't have made it without that offensive line. I couldn't have made it without the defense. And, I go back, and I'm going to explain this to you. I go back and I looked at it when Georgia played Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl in 1980 when we won the national championship. They gave Herschel Walker, and you can see him talk about myself in third person, but I know I'm doing that. They gave Herschel Walker the MVP of the game. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Because no. I'm going to tell you something that people didn't even know, and they because they think of Herschel Walker being the MVP. I went back and looked at that game. Do people know the University of Georgia offense may have been on the field maybe 10 minutes, the whole game? That the University of Georgia defense was they stopped the Notre Dame offense for almost 50 to 45 minutes the whole game. And when you have a defense that can stop an offense like that, someone on that defense should have got MVP. Because even though I may have had a great game, but to stop an offense that had the potential of Notre Dame 45 to 50 minutes to win the national championship, that's incredible. So sometimes your name will carry you more, but that is a team. So that's why I said sometimes I feel guilty, and I'm not being humble, that Herschel Walker name is raised up high. But there's a lot more people down here that I got to lift up with me.
When I listen to you say what you just said, the one word that comes out to me is just unselfish and willing to participate using your God-given skills to lift everyone else up. And when that happens, families get better, companies get better, teams get better, and we get better as a country as well. We just play our role, do our job, and do it unselfishly. Just do it unselfishly. Because, when you were together on that team at the University of Georgia, they were from different places and backgrounds and beliefs, but they all have a role to play. And when it works right, and it did, of course, because the championship is proof, everyone's just kind of done their part and unselfish. And you just represent that here today. I know all the folks that were a part of that team are so grateful for you having been a teammate, because you set an example in many ways about that unselfishness. Thanks so much for doing that. So I wanted to ask you about one play in your whole career that kind of embodies who Herschel Walker is. What is that one play? Like, if there's one play and you were just going to tell someone, this is the embodiment of who I am.
Well, could I say it was one moment?
Yes, please. Yes.
In the national championship against Notre Dame, the second play of the game, I dislocated my shoulder, where the top of my shoulder ended up in the bottom of my chest. And I was walking around almost held over. And I remember the doctors coming to myself, and they said, Herschel, you're finished. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you can't play anymore. And I'm like, why? He said, because your shoulder is out of place. Your shoulder is dislocated. You can't play anymore. And I was sitting there thinking, first of all, if it's out of place, you can put it back. And they said, well, I'm going to take surgery to put that back. And I remember laying on the sideline, letting my two offensive linemen snap my shoulder back in place, and I shook it off and went out there and played. And I said, what bodies Herschel Walker is hard work, not giving up. Because, I would talk to my parents and maybe this my military, because I always wanted to be in the military, is that, guys, we're a team. That team needed me. We had worked so hard on plays that Herschel Walker ran. We had worked so hard on so much that I wasn't going to leave them. I don't care what I had to do. I'm not leaving them, guys. I'm not going to sit on the sideline wrapped up in a thing and looking. So, my family, plus, I had family members from Wrightsville, Georgia, to come to New Orleans. I had people traveling And, and they don't have much money. They traveled up there to see me play, and I said that, but in body's men, I owe people. I want to do my job.
Just a ball game that I knew was going to be tough.
Ballou gives it on a little delay to Herschel Walker, and Walker.
And it got much, much tougher on the second play.
And they turn, give it to Walker. Walker trying to get outside. Does get outside. Penalty flag down. Look out for this one.
Second play from scrimmage in that game, Herschel dislocates his shoulder.
I seen him drop his arm when he come back over.
And it's like, what the hell? His arm's just hanging limp. He's gone. He's toast. He's out.
And I'm like, why? He said, you've dislocated your shoulder and you got to have surgery.
And just the blank stares in that huddle when he left the field sort of got my attention. There were some guys thinking, okay, our best player's left and he's probably not coming back.
And I said, you can put it back. And they said, no, you can't put that back. I said, no, yes, we can.
I'm standing like me to you, and our team doctor takes his arm, popped his dislocated shoulder in place, and I saw Herschel winch.
I didn't come there to be injured. I came there to play.
Goes back in the game.
Ballou gives it to Walker. Herschel running inside. Goes across the 30. Bowls his way to the 27.
He took 34 snaps with a dislocated shoulder.
I mean, I've seen guys play with broken fingers, but I'm running back with a shoulder. He's getting hit every time.
And to be honest with you, it hurt. You're walking almost crooked, but you're in a fight, so you're not going to worry about the little things.
That was the toughest performance that I've ever been around. The entire team fed off what Herschel did that day.
Gotta be Walker. Touchdown.
Well, I'll tell you what, your message today is powerful, and a powerful reminder to all of us that we can accept adversity, we can overcome adversity if we'll simply show up and own up and do all the little things right every single day. God, there's so much in what you said in the last 25 or 30 minutes. It's so powerful. So I want to tell you a quick story. 7 years ago, I was not in the best physical shape in my life. I wanted to get in much better shape, and I decided to take a play out of your playbook. Of course, you're legendary for doing push-ups and sit-ups, and so for the next 3 years, that's all I did was push-ups and sit-ups. I've now since hired a personal trainer, but at the time, I thought if it was good enough for Herschel, it'd be good enough for me. So I got up to about 400 a day, each one of them. And so as I was preparing for today, I was reminded of that, and I was thinking, what we always do at the end of our show is we do some work to try to make the world a better place. That's what we should do as good neighbors, is try to give back to the community. And so I wanted to offer a challenge to my good friend, Herschel Walker, right? So the challenge is 60 seconds, and whoever does the most push-ups wins. Now, listen, if I win, we're going to give you the opportunity to direct $10,000 to the charity of your choice. Yeah. If you win, it's going to be $15,000. And at this point, you're thinking, write the check for $15,000.
Well, I was just thinking that you might as well just go ahead and give me the $15,000 and stuff, but then I still do the push-up just for the heck of it. But, if you want to give me $15,000, that's fine.
Well, what I thought, though, is then my team, my marketing team, they said, well, you're a bit of an underdog, Pat. I said, I don't think so. They said, yes, you are. And then we checked in with Las Vegas, and they've actually determined that I am an underdog, 6-touchdown underdog, 42 push-ups. So the challenge is going to be, here's the bet. The bet's going to be that you'll take the 60 seconds and you'll do as many as you can, and I'll do as many as I can in 60. And if I win, it's 10,000. If you win, it's 15,000. Hey, I just wanted to tell you that it has been a blessing to spend time with you today. And I'm sure all of the folks that are here feel exactly the same way. And I also know that you're a bit of a Georgia fan, correct?
Yes.
So, and the last time we talked, you were hoping that we were going to have a college football season, and we don't know yet.
Oh, we're going to have a college football season. I would promise you, we're having a college football season.
And go ahead. Who do you think is going to win the national championship?
Let me tell
Herschel
you,
Walker?
I had picked Georgia before all this pandemic started, that Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State was going to be the best teams in college football, and Georgia will emerge as number one. I'm staying with that pick because I think Georgia has got one heck of a team. They got a great coach. And you hear what I said, they got one heck of a team.
A team. That's right.
Of a team. Good alone. They got a great team.
Listen, God bless you, brother. Thank you so much. All right.
Hey, thank you, guys.
Appreciate you being here today. Yep.
All right.